Meeting of the Finance Committee to order on December 3rd, 2025. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Thibodeau? Here. Alderman GOV is here. Alderman Moran? Alderman Gregg?
Here.
Alderman Clemmons?
Here.
Alderman Klee?
Here.
Mayor Donches?
Here. All right, first item on the agenda is public comment. Is there any member of the public who would like to comment on anything on the agenda? I don't see anyone. So we will move on to communications. For the first communication being from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager. Alderman Govea.
In regard to hydroelectric operations and maintenance agreement in the amount not to exceed $755,000, annually funded from General Fund 54 Property Services, I'll make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve a one-year extension with Essex Power Services Incorporated to provide operation and maintenance services for the Jackson Mills and Mine Falls hydroelectric facilities in the amount not to exceed $755,000 annually. Funding will be through Department 170 Hydroelectric Operations, Fund General Fund 54 Property Services.
And I believe Ms. Chisholm is here on this? Yes.
Good evening. Deb Chisholm, Sustainability Department Manager. Just to make a slight correction, this contract is a 3-year extension for Essex Power. And that's the company that we have used. Basically, they've been doing operation and maintenance of both of the facilities since we acquired them. We typically do a 3-year contract with them, and then we extend it. This year was supposed to be the year we were going to put it out for bid, but in light of the critical work that they've been doing for us on the Jackson Mills hydro with the new turbine and all the new equipment in there, I did think it best that we extend that contract one more time in order to be able to use their expertise to get that thing up and running the way that it should.
So I'll move the amendment to make it 3 years instead of 1.
Okay. Motion is to amend to 3 years. Any discussion on that? Alderman Clemmons.
No discussion on that in particular, but I
Let's
am...
do that motion first, all right?
Because then we have
Motion
to
is
do
just
as
to
amended.
amend.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. Yes, Alderman
Okay.
Clemmons.
So my question is, in relative to the 755,000, is that, so I guess it is relevant to that, because is it 755 annually for 3 years?
Correct.
Or is it 755 over the 3 years?
It is $755 per year for 3 years.
Okay.
And that $755 covers O&M of both of the facilities.
And how does that compare to what we've been paying in the past?
That number is approximately 10% higher than what we are paying them this year, for this fiscal year.
And has it, when we renew, has it typically gone up that 10%, or what's the?
The way that the invoices come in from Essex Power is it's basically time and materials. So when their invoice comes in, I see who's worked on what, I see how many hours they put in, I see every piece of equipment that they've purchased, and they bill that to us straight with no markup on it. In addition to that monthly invoice, they also invoice us their administrative invoice quarterly, and that's based purely on our revenue. It's 15% of our revenue.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Alderman Thibodeau.
I think it was last week. In the last meeting we had, I had asked you the hopeful revenue of the hydro facilities, and I think it was 1.5 was the hopeful. So this is really like 50% of the revenue.
Approximately, yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Govea.
In regard to specialty team comprehensive physicals in the amount not to exceed $200,000 funded from General Fund 53 Professional and Technical Services, I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve the health and safety physicals for 185 members of National Fire Rescue for 2026 through United Diagnostic Services in the amount not to exceed $200,000. Funding will be through Department 152 Fire Rescue Fund, General Fund 53 Professional and Technical Services.
Yes, come on up from the fire department, right?
Good evening, Eric Tremblay, Assistant Fire Chief. These are in conjunction with the labor agreement, NFPA, OSHA requirements. We are required to obtain medical evaluations for our specialty teams, and with the support of the city, this is the second year in a row we are able to extend that to the entire department.
And does this include the cancer screening?
There are cancer components to it, yes, specifically firefighter related.
Right. All right, anybody? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Govea.
In regard to amendment number 1 for the 2025 CIPP lining of sewer interceptors in the amount not to exceed $51,257 funded from Bond 53 Professional and Technical Services, I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve amendment number 1 to the construction engineering services contract for the 2025 CIPP lining of sewer interceptor projects with Hazen and Sawyer PC in the amount not to exceed $51,257. Funding will be through Department 160, Admin Engineering Fund, Bond 53 Professional and Technical Services.
Good evening, Mark Saunders, Deputy City Engineer. The contract amendment before you is with Hazen Sawyer for engineering services. This year, we went out to bid for our CCTV and our CIPP lining contract. We ended up with favorable numbers on that contract, so in doing so, we were able to issue a change order where they held their pricing. So this amendment is with the consultant to help cover that change order work as we go into the next year. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Govea.
In regard to landfill gas expansion CQA services in the amount not to exceed $38,500 funded from Bond 53 Professional and Technical Services, make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve engineering services contract for Sanborn Head and Associates to provide construction quality assurance oversight for the 2025 landfill gas collection system modification work in the amount not to exceed $38,500. Funding will be through Department 168 Solid Waste Fund, Bond 53 Professional and Technical Services.
So, Mr. LaFleur is on the Zoom.
Yes, Jeff LaFleur, Superintendent of Solid Waste. This is for the quality assurance oversight for when we do the install of the landfill gas expansion. I went through the landfill gas expansion last month. This is just to have the engineers overview and watch what they designed to be put into place.
All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Govea.
In regard to landfill 5,000-gallon diesel fuel tank installation in the amount not to exceed $242,800 funded from Solid Waste Fund 54 Property Services, make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve a contract with SRS Petroleum Services to provide, install, and test a new 5,000-gallon double-wide diesel fuel tank to replace the current landfill fueling system in the amount not to exceed $242,800. Funding will be through Department 168 Solid Waste Fund 54 Property Services.
Mr. LaFleur?
Jeff LaFleur, Superintendent of Solid Waste. This is to replace the 8,000-gallon tank that we have at the landfill right now. It's 30-plus years old. It's starting to show some rust, and it's going to slowly be worked out of compliance with DES. If it does fail, we have to replace one anyway, so this will bring us all into compliance, and we'll have all the safety features installed.
Alderman Thibodeau.
So you're placing this with a smaller tank. Is that going to become an issue at some point, or why are we going to a smaller tank?
Uh, we never really use the 8,000. I mean, I fill it up like every 2 months, so we could drop down to a 5,000 gallon. They're on call to deliver whenever we want it, so we've never had any issues. And I figured we'd, save some money going with a smaller tank and just make it easier for everyone.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Gregg.
I had the same question.
Okay.
Thanks.
Alderwoman Clee.
I don't have a question for Mr. LaFleur. I just want to clarify, I don't know if it was said double-walled or double-wide. It was double-walled in the reading. I just want, yeah, double-walled. Thank you.
Alderman Clemmons.
Just real quick, is there going to be any interruption in service as far as this being installed and the other one being decommissioned?
No, we're actually moving it, so it'll be in a different place, to be closer to the landfill. This is for our heavy equipment mostly. So I'm gonna move it closer to the new cell that we're building, and it'll be, this old one will continue running until we get the new one operating.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Govea.
Energy recovery generator maintenance agreement in the amount not to exceed $338,069, funded from wastewater fund 54 property services. I'll make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve the energy recovery generator 3-year maintenance contract with Southworth Milton Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $338,069. Funding will be through Department 169 wastewater fund 54 property services.
Mr. Boucher.
Good evening, Dave Boucher, wastewater superintendent. The wastewater facility has 2 Caterpillar generators. They're energy recovery generators. They run off methane gas that we pull off of our digesters. We currently had a 3-year contract with Milton Cat. That one has come to an end, and we'd like to enter into another 3-year contract. This would be for minor, major PMs and warranty items. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next communication from Amy Gerard, Alderman Govea.
In regard to home and stadium fire suppression system in the amount not to exceed $580,000, funded from Bond 54 Property Services. I'll make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve the contract for replacement of the fire suppression system at home and stadium by Excel Fire Protection Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $580,000. Funding will be through Department 177 Parks, Fund Bond 54 Property Services.
And I believe Mr. Conant is on the Zoom.
And good evening. Superintendent of the Parks Department, Brian Conant. This is to upgrade and renovate the current fire suppression system at Holman Stadium, which was installed back in, I believe, 2002. This is going to replace a lot of the pipe that's there. This is going to upgrade the system from a moisture system to a nitrogen system, so we won't have breaks during the winter like we did this past year. The fire marshal did review the specs for this. He approved it. It went out to bid, and we'd like to move forward with this. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Alderman Thibodeau.
I'm just curious if the technology wasn't available back then, or is that like new technology for this type of suppression system, or? I'm just curious why it wasn't chosen originally.
I can't answer that accurately. I know currently right now we have a moisture system and it's caused problems. Just this past winter, there was about $100,000 worth of erosion damage that happened underneath the grandstand because we have a moisture system. We can't turn the system off during the winter, so this will alleviate that issue, and I'm not sure, Alderman, if that technology was available back then.
Yeah, go ahead.
And what is the life expectancy of a nitrogen system?
I think it'll prolong it. They say the life expectancy on the pipe is around 20 years old. A lot of the pipe there in the fire suppression system is exposed to the elements, which doesn't help its life expectancy. So that I do believe that this will aid in its life expectancy due to the fact that we won't have moisture, which is obviously corrosive in the system.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Govea.
In regard to software fleet tracking in the amount not to exceed $128,642 funded from General Fund 71 equipment, I'll make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve a 3-year renewal of fleet tracking software from Fleetio in the amount not to exceed $128,642. Funding will be through Department 168 Fleet Fund, General Fund 71 equipment.
And Mr. Rush is on the Zoom.
Yes, good evening, Michael Rush, Fleet Superintendent. I apologize for my raspy voice. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather tonight. This Fleetio is our software system that we launched for the Fleet Department last year. We've had great success with it. So this is a renewal to continue the service with the Fleetio software in our Fleet Department. This has cut down on our paper and our administrative filing. It has enabled the technicians to have tablet access and real-time access to some of the truck software that runs through our GPS units. So it's also a communication tool that keeps us connected with almost the entire fleet. So this is a renewal. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on this.
Anyone? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Govea.
In regard to purchase of 2 2026 Freightline cab and chassis with plow package in the amount not to exceed $601,032 funded from SURF 81 Capital Outlay and Improvements. I'll make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve the purchase of 2 2026 Freightliner cab and chassis with body and snowplow fighter package from Viking Civics in the amount not to exceed $601,032, $300,516 each. Funding will be through Department 161 Streets, Fund SURF 81 Capital Outlay and Improvements.
Mr. Rush.
Michael Rush, Fleet Superintendent. These 2 trucks are going to replace our 2016 trucks in the Street Department. These are frontline snow fighters for the season that we're currently active in. They have about an 18-month lead time, has been about the standard over the last few purchases, so they do take a while to get in here. At the end, we will be moving these 2 trucks to the backline fleet to keep as reserve pieces for snowplow routes that we have throughout the city. These are standard equipment. It's pretty much a like-for-like purchase, with the exception these trucks are equipped with brine equipment, and that enables us to do a little bit better job pre-treating the city for most of the storms that are within that temperature range. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on the scheduled purchase.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Govea.
In regard to 2027 Freightliner cab and chassis with plow package in the amount not to exceed $319,729 funded from SURF 81 Capital Outlay and Improvements. I'll make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve the purchase of 1 tandem axle 2027 Freightliner cab and chassis with body and snow fighter package from Viking Civics in the amount not to exceed $319,729. Funding will be through Department 161 Streets, Fund SURF 81 Capital Outlay and Improvements.
Mr. Rush.
Michael Rush, Fleet Superintendent. This is replacing another 2016 larger dump truck. This has dual axles and a little bit more weight capacity than the previous ones that we just went over. But they are the same. They are a like-for-like purchase with the exception of the brine unit. And that will also be moved to the back line and kept as a backup for plow routes throughout the city. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on this scheduled purchase.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Govea.
In regard to purchasing of 1 2025 Ravo R2 sidewalk sweeper in the amount not to exceed $238,556.53 funded from SURF 81 Capital Outlay and Improvements. I'll make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve the purchase of 1 2025 Ravo R2 sweeper from Alta Environmental Solutions in the amount not to exceed $238,556.53. Funding will be through Department 161 Streets Fund, SURF 81 Capital Outlay and Improvements.
Mr. Rush?
Michael Rush, Fleet Superintendent. So this is going to replace the current tenant sidewalk sweeper for the street department. This sweeper is a little bit different than the current one in use. The filtration system is a little finer, so it collects a little bit more of the dust particles that you may see behind some of the sweepers that we do operate. So it captures some of that fines and just takes it out of the air so that we're not having a dust cloud when we're sweeping sidewalks. This sweeper is also a little unique. It comes with a vacuum hose on the rear of the unit, which enables the operator to get out of the sidewalk machine and can get some debris that might be along a fence line or a hard-to-reach curb line where the brush may not, have access to. It's also equipped with a small PSI pressure washer. Should we need to get something up off the sidewalk, it'll even take a little bit of graffiti off if there was some paint there. This is a pretty much like-for-like purchase, with the exception of those few details I went over, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have on the scheduled purchase.
Alderman Thibodeau.
So it's called a sidewalk sweeper, but there's actually a street sweeper, or is this a sidewalk unit?
It is a small sweeper for the sidewalks.
Oh.
It's not the same size as the larger sweepers that we typically operate. It's about the same size as the current one we have. I believe it's a little longer, and that's just because of that hose that hangs off the back for the vacuum. But it is classified as sidewalk sweeper.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have an emergency PO request. Normally, we would just accept and place on file, but there have been a few questions here, so I thought I would take the opportunity not only to address the change order, but the project in general. So the project, the Riverfront, was 10 years in duration, beginning in February 2016, when I attended a Mayor's Institute of City Design with 4 other cities to review various design issues in each city. And we asked them to focus on the riverfront and some of the adjoining neighborhoods. And of course, the message that came from it is you should take bigger advantage of the riverfront. And they did issue a report. Next step was there was a riverfront master plan, which was proposed and adopted, which was developed and proposed and adopted by the Board of Aldermen. Then we instituted or passed a so-called tax increment financing district around the riverfront. This is a state-authorized procedure used in many states. The theory is to use public investment to stimulate private investment, which in turn will generate tax revenue, which can be used for further public investment to generate more private investment. So the idea was using the TIF, and what the TIF uses, it's funded through the properties, through increases in the property tax within the district. So once the TIF was passed, the development within the district has funded this project entirely. So it does not general fund funded. In any event, I think the project was completed, as you saw, just before the stroll. I think it came out, great. Liz Hannum, Director of Economic Development, was in charge. I think she did a great job, and I at least got many compliments about, this is really great. We're taking advantage of the river after 200 years. So the final phase of and I think that it has succeeded in the sense that we're seeing more development along the riverfront at NIMCO, for example. We would not have that much interest in that parcel and the parcel next to it, the Bagshaw parcel, in terms of much-needed housing if we hadn't done the riverfront project. And they will invest, over $100 million in that area of NIMCO and Bagshaw. So The final thing that needed to be done was this landscaping. And to just take another step back, in September, the emergency management director and the police department suggested that we not extend the holiday stroll beyond Canal Street. And we close Canal Street rather than the top of Library Hill. And the reason for that suggestion is that it takes a lot of officers to cover that last block. Eight additional police officers to provide security between Canal Street and the top of Library Hill. Now, the police department needs to order people to come in. I mean, there aren't a lot of people who are looking for overtime if you talk to the people at the police department. So they have to order people. They don't like to do that. So this would be an additional 8 people they have to order to come in and more money. So, okay, we'll stop at Canal Street. So once the decision was made to stop at Canal Street, where are we going to do the tree lighting? Well, the Renaissance Park seems to make sense. Now, it's not done yet. In September, it was kind of far from finished, or it was getting there, but still a lot of work to do. So we'll instead of going up Library Hill, we'll redirect the stroll. And this was also done in connection with Great American Downtown, now called the Nashua Downtown Association. So we'll direct it down Water Street, close Water Street, a lot easier, and have the tree lighting in the park. So we got to, we get very near to the end of the project, but the landscaping needed to be done. It was never a secret that there was going to be landscaping. In fact, Liz Hannum went to the Infrastructure Committee several times to update on the project. In one of those, told them that we were going to need to reach an agreement with Moran's regarding the landscaping. But there were a lot of outstanding issues, and that maybe occurred in, I don't know, August, September. There were a lot of outstanding issues, exactly what was going to be done and how much are they going to charge. And there were significant and lengthy negotiations regarding that. At the end of the day, they wanted to charge $318,000, $321,000, $318,000, $310,000. They wanted to charge $310,000. Now, if we had said, fine, whatever you want, we'll pay it. We'll pay the $310,000. We could have brought this to the Finance Committee at that time. But Ms. Hannum thought she could save some money by negotiating with Moran's. They went back and forth. She got them down to $281,000. But that figure was not arrived at till, like, I don't know, mid-November. And but once that was arrived at, the change order process began with, it seems, with Dan Hudson, the city engineer. He is not but he's not the guy who really ultimately approves that. And he signed the change order on November 19th, as I recall. The change order was emailed to Ms. Hannum on the 20th, the day after our last finance meeting. Within the next few days, she reviewed the change order, agreed to it, and signed it. She thinks she signed it on the 25th, although it's not actually dated. But it was definitely after the 20th because she didn't get the thing until the 20th. So the question was, so the decision at that point was we could stop the project, tell them to go home, wait for additional fees for the shutdown and bring them back in order to come to the Finance Committee. Or we could cancel the holiday stroll. I mean, we could have done that. But the best course seemed to be to approve the change order for budgeted, funded items that everybody knew was going to be in the project, I don't think there was anyone who thought there would be no landscaping. So the best course seemed to be to approve the change order with a reduced price, to go forward with a holiday stroll, finish the project, and make everybody happy, which I think 99% of the people were happy, but there were some questions about how this change order dated November 19th, the same, initially dated November 19th by Moran's, did not come to the Finance Committee that same night. I have to say, Liz Hannum didn't know that Moran's had agreed to the change order, neither did I, but as soon as we but we definitely approved this after the 19th in order to get the project done and the stroll off the ground rather than canceling it, and subsequently wrote a memo to the committee to inform them what we had done. And you see that the memo is there explaining the whole procedure. So maybe that answers most of the questions. Alderwoman Clee.
Thank you. So this is still within budget, it's not using
It's
additional
definitely within
funds?
budget.
Yeah.
We have $1.8 million left in the bond,
So again.
and we
didn't-
expect
didn't
now,
exceed,
now
right.
these numbers could change. With some additional items, we could incur an additional $900,000 of expense. But those items I don't expect those will be emergencies. We're not going to have another holiday stroll pending, hanging, depending upon the completion of something. So that would be handled, I expect, in the ordinary course.
Thank you.
Alderman Govea.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my question here is, so I look at what we budgeted this year, which is that $2,039,000 number, and to date in the last finance report that we got, we spent that amount of money. So is this just coming from the TIF? Is that an appropriation as well, a supplemental
No.
on top of the budget? Or are we just over budget this year?
Well, this is within the TIF and within the bond issue. So this isn't funded out of general fund revenues. But I think that detail could be answered by Ms. Hannum.
Liz Hannum, Economic Development Director. So this was budgeted within the $21 million bond. So we knew that this was coming. We just hadn't signed contracts yet. And we could have probably gone out to bid for some of it, but it just made sense to kind of use Moran's, who we already had a contract with and was doing good work. And was already in the area, and there was no more coordination that needed to happen. So we used them for the work. So this was we knew that this was coming for almost a year, but,
So I think the question, though, is this within the 2 million, what was it, 2.1?
It was $2,039,000.
Is this within the well, do you know what the 239 refers to even?
I'm not sure what the 239 is.
Sure, so that's when just pull up on my phone quickly. When I look at the budget as a whole, pull it up for you. So I see FY 2026 adopted budget. When we're looking at the TIF fund, it was that $2,039,303 number. And then you look at the financial statements, and we've already spent that. It's $2,039,074.66, so a couple $100 underneath it. So I'm just wondering, where did we go over? Because I mean, if we knew it was coming, why did our budget show that what we're allocating with this money brings us over what we budgeted for the fiscal year?
I'm not sure. So I guess I don't really.
Well, what about this? You clearly don't follow all these figures, and you don't have the budget with you and all that.
Right.
What if you go back? It's unclear to me if the 200,000 is part of the 2 million that Alderman Govea is referring to, or in addition. But would you look into this and give us a memo or something explaining,
Yes.
answering that question? I think the question is it part of the 2 million, or is it, did we go over, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So
I guess I'm,
we can come up with an explanation,
All right.
we can come up with an answer on that question.
okay. I
But
will.
Thank you.
just
I'll do
not
that.
at this moment.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Alderman Thibodeau.
So the explanation makes sense, or I understand the explanation, but what I'm not grasping is why it was an emergency.
Well, because the change order comes in, and it is a few days before the holiday stroll, and we could stop the project. We could tell them, hey, look, don't do that last part of it, and keep the project, fenced in, and just cancel the holiday stroll. So, given the fact that this was, the 29th or 30th, I forget which.
29th.
And that we have tens of thousands of people relying on this thing, it just seemed like an emergency that we get this thing done so we could actually have the tree lighting. Now, you might disagree if that was an emergency, and, that's fine, but if you're considering having to cancel the stroll, that feels like an emergency to me.
Yeah. And I get that, if I may. But why is that the other alternative? Why is it we must finish the park or cancel the stroll?
Because the tree lighting was in the park.
I'll just,
The culmination of the whole thing is in the park. But that was the plan. And that's what happened. I mean, the stroll went down the Main Street, turned left on Water Street, went into the park, and under the pavilion lighted the annual tree. And we did not have a tree on Library Hill because it had been decided a couple of months earlier, 2-3 months earlier, that we would not be going up, that the Main Street closure would occur at Main Street rather than at Library Hill. So we had no tree lighting if we didn't have the park.
I'll just add one more piece of it too, is if we had stopped work, we would have started incurring fees for delay of work from Moran's.
Because they'd leave and come back later.
Yeah,
But that costs money. That costs extra money.
Well, then my follow-on to that would be, why weren't they done on schedule? Right? If the schedule was completion date of November 1st, after the change order, then why was the work not complete by November 1st?
I think there were still negotiations regarding price and regarding exactly what the work would be. Ongoing negotiations.
Thank you.
Alderman Clemmons.
So hearing this discussion, my question is what would have happened if they didn't send back the purchase order on the 19th? Would we have canceled the stroll?
No. I don't know. I don't know what I mean, you'd arrived at a price, right? At that point?
Yeah, so on the 19th, we received their agreed upon price, which was the $281,000.
Which was what we were hoping for that reduction.
And we would have brought it probably at the next Finance Committee meeting as something that we had already completed. So that's not ideal either.
We didn't want to cancel the stroll under any circumstances. Alderman Clemmons.
Yeah, I get that about the stroll. I just, so the answer to the question is it would have come in like this at a higher price.
We could have done it earlier at a higher price. We could have been here a few weeks before this, before the 19th at 310.
I understand, I get that, but what would have happened? What was the plan that was in place if Warren's didn't agree to a lower price? Were we going to pay the higher price and still do the landscaping to get it done in time for the stroll?
We probably would have had to, but Ms. Hannum did a good job and was able to negotiate the lower price.
I guess I'm just, it doesn't look good because from the outside, right, you know when the stroll is going to be, and you've been negotiating with somebody, so you have to get, when the finance meetings are too. So it just, I understand, and I appreciate the hard work that was done to get the price down. I agree with you that we would have done it anyway, but I'm just not.
Well, could we have done better? Maybe we could have done better. Maybe we could have done this somehow perfectly, but of course, no one has sketched out what that perfect course would have been under these circumstances, but maybe there was a better way to go. But our main focus was, we're at the tail end, the last 1 or 2% of an $18 million project. We've got the stroll coming up. We want to finish the project and have the stroll work and be successful. So is there some way, if our total focus had been, we've got to make sure that we need to, well, I don't know how we would have done it, but maybe you can come up with a better way, but maybe you can come up with a better way, but no one has said what we should have done. Do you have any ideas? And if you have a good idea, I'll agree to it. We should have done something different, but I don't know what that is.
Hindsight's always 20/20, Mayor, and you could think of a million different ways to have done this better, but the point of the matter is I am finding it, there is either some kind of, there was something not there. There was some discussion that was not happening that should have happened in regards to the schedule of the Finance Committee and when this contract needed to be done in order to get the work done for the stroll.
All right.
I don't know what that was because I wasn't there, but I hate to say words like, I'm not going to say those words, but I am, there was definitely something, there had to be something that was not being communicated or done.
All right, I accept that.
I'll,
And I take to the extent that's true, I take responsibility for that, all right? So we could have done better with coming to the Finance Committee, but here we are now explaining what happened. All right, more questions? All right, so we are going to give a memo on the question asked by Alderman Govea. And if there is no objection, I will accept the communication and place it on file. And given that, we'll move on to tabled in committee. I think maybe Mr. Sullivan is here on that. Well, new business ordinances and resolutions, we have none.
So I will make a motion to remove from the table a communication relative to the Library Plaza Design and Construction Administrative Services Amendment Number 5 in the amount not to exceed $39,684, funded from Capital Improvements, 53 Professional and Technical Services.
Go ahead, yes.
We have
probably
to
vote on that.
to take it off the table.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion passes, and the resolution is, the issue is before us.
So then I will make A motion to accept, place on file, and approve amendment number 5 with Arcadis for expanding the scope and extension in time by 12 weeks beyond the original contract terms in the amount not to exceed $39,684. Funding will be through Department 181 Community Development Fund, Capital Improvements 53, Professional and Technical Services.
Good evening. For the record, Matt Sullivan, Community Development Director for the City of Nashua. I believe committee members may remember this from several months ago, with the exception of Alderwoman Gregg. This was a request that was made to the Finance Committee at the request of the designer for the Library Plaza project, Arcadis. This is in fact amendment number 5, or change order number 5. I hate to suggest that this is similar to the prior item, because I don't think you want to hear 2 after-the-fact requests in the same evening, but in fact, it is similar in some ways to the prior item, with a slightly different fact pattern, neither better or worse than the other, but this is something you would ask me to go back, speak to the vendor about, and get certification on in writing, and I have done that. Specifically, what the committee had requested is that the vendor guarantee that there would be no cost exceedances that were not made clear to the city prior to those expenses being taken on. You may recall that the vendor came to the city after money had already been spent above and beyond the work scope and requested a change order, which is not customary, certainly, when it comes to how we manage projects, and not appropriate in any way, shape, or form. However, as I presented at the last meeting, we ultimately did negotiate with Arcadis, and in the interest of moving forward the good working relationship that we've had, I brought forward the change order in the amount of $39,684. As you can see in the memo dated November 19th of 2025 that I presented to you in sort of the bold italicized letters, Arcadis has confirmed in writing that they will make clear any deviations from the scope of work. Frankly, they were very apologetic about the timeline of events that led to this after-the-fact request for authorization, but they're very clear on what the city's position is on this moving forward and how this process will work moving forward. And I expect that Ms. Hannum and others have had the same experience and are clear on the process moving forward. So we're happy to answer any questions that you have this evening, but again, appreciate the committee's consideration of this request, albeit through a slightly unusual set of circumstances. Happy to answer questions that you have.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yeah, I don't have any questions, but I think the circumstances are different. And I think this was on Arcadis. This was not on the city. And so, you know, I'll, because of the want for, and because they put into writing that they're not going to do this again, I'll support the motion, mostly because the work was done. Somebody's not, or presumably they've gotten paid, but I mean, this, you know, they did the work, but this was not on the city or any city employees. This was that company, and it's very different.
Alderman Govea.
Yeah, I agree with my colleague at large. I think, to your point exactly, this was kind of thrown at us. We didn't really have much say in the matter. They just handed the invoice. My one question would be, kind of broadly speaking about the project, how much money to date have we spent?
Yes, Alderman Gouveia. I probably should go back to my computer to confirm the exact amounts, but over the initial contract and the 5 change orders, and remember, there was an initial iteration of this project back in 2019. There was design work done more than 5 years ago. We've spent about, or encumbered about $400,000 worth of expense on this project to date. That includes Arcadis' scopes of work, and also authorization to enter into essentially a project management contract with IMEG or Hayner Swanson. Those expenses together are around that $400,000 mark.
Can I follow up on that? And is that where we expect to be right now? Are we over? Are we under?
Yeah, that's. I'm sorry to interrupt,
Nope.
Alderman Gouveia. That's right in line with where we expected the project to be. Again, we've sort of pre-contracted for project management with IMEG, so that phase, we haven't really entered that phase yet. Sort of more a construction side service, but it's about where we expected to be. I will say, you know, we had anticipated that much of the design work was already done in 2019, but you may remember we learned some new things about the site and asbestos and other on-site contamination, leading to more design costs than we'd anticipated. So that was a little bit unexpected, but not exponentially so.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Thibodeau.
Just in general contract terms, maybe this is a good line item to start adding to our standard contracts to, if said vendor does what they did, that we can accrue some kind of penalty towards them.
Well, if I could just comment on that, and I don't want to accept responsibility when it sounds like I'm being absolved of that tonight, but, you know.
Stop talking.
No, yeah. But I mean, in all seriousness, right, I mean, there is, and I think I was clear about this in the last committee meeting, so I don't mind repeating it. You know, the city has an oversight role and a project management role when it comes to these contracts. Certainly when a vendor doesn't tell us they're going over budget, that's a problem, yes, but you know, there were opportunities for us to understand that when we were asking for additional work to be done, although it wasn't being explicitly stated to us, I could have inquired directly with the vendor. So I'm just saying this is not dissimilar in some ways from the prior request that was before you. Many different facts, of course, but ultimately I bear some responsibility for this one as well. But certainly, you know, it should be clear to vendors that if they're going to exceed scope and budget, they should be communicating that to us. 95+% of the time, probably 99% of the time they do that. In this case, they didn't. So generally, we don't have this problem. I don't know if we need it in our contracts, but maybe now we do. That's something to discuss.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Clee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. While I agree that we did keep, and I know even the Board of Aldermen kept throwing things at you, what about, you know, looking at this and so on, and I'm sure that you were talking to the contractor and asking these different questions. Maybe they felt that they had the green light to go. But I don't think it is a bad idea to put something in there that if, without distinct authorization of doing something like that. And I know you don't necessarily write the contract, but I just think maybe better for the city in general. It gives it clear. And I appreciate you accepting some responsibility for having thrown ideas out with them and then not necessarily following up by saying, don't do it, just, you know.
And that probably is the last comment I'll make. That language really is already in our standard contract.
Okay.
I want to be really clear.
Okay.
I mean, it's not as explicit as we're talking about it tonight, but it says clearly that vendors cannot simply overexpend budgets because they want to. What it usually comes down to, though, is when you have a relationship with a vendor, you're midstream in a project or a contract, you have a decision point in front of you. Do we litigate this and spend money arguing whether or not this violated the contract or not, or do we try to resolve a cost overrun? And typically, you know, to be clear, we try to land somewhere in the middle on that, to be honest with you. So that language is already in the city's standard contract. Vendors can't simply spend money without authorization. Folks in the audience certainly know that, but I hate to say it's a little more complicated than that, but sometimes it really is.
Mr. Mayor?
Aye. Alderwoman Clee.
Thank you. No, and I appreciate that. And I'm not putting the blame fully on anybody because I know even from the aldermanic side, we were asking a lot of you, well, what if this, what if that? So I think we can spread the blame around, but playing the blame game is really kind of silly. But I do appreciate that it's already in the contract. Yep. And, you know, I also appreciate you going through per Alderman Clemens' request of getting that certified. I think that really was important. I think it was a great request of his and so on. So, and it kind of brings it home to the vendor that we need to make sure that we're clear on this. And again, I don't believe that they did it maliciously. I think it was just, it wasn't intended to necessarily cause any kind of problems and so on. So I hate the blame game. So thanks so much.
Yep.
All right, so there's a pending motion to approve the item. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Record of expenditures. Alderman Govea.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the Finance Committee has complied with the city charter and ordinances pertaining to the record of expenditures for the period from November 14, 2025 through November 27, 2025.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. General discussion. Is there any general discussion? Alderman Clemens.
I just want to say to everyone who works for the city. You all do a great job. We all have good days, bad days. I know I've had my share of terrible days. So, you know, just hopefully we can avoid situations like this in the future. And I just want to say I appreciate everyone, especially Director Hannum. So.
And on general discussion, as I'm thinking about that previous item, what we could have done, which we didn't think of, we could have come to the Finance Committee on the 19th and said there is an outstanding issue having to do with the landscaping for the park. We're in negotiations. We did, I think, Morans had given the purchase order to Dan Hudson, but had not yet been communicated to Ms. Hannum. We could have come and said, you know, we don't know how this is going to come out. We're in negotiations. We really need to get this work done, but we just want to let you know that there is going to be some kind of change order. We could have done that. And that would have been, you know, better. But we didn't think, I mean, we were more focused on trying to get this thing done. It didn't even, that didn't even, I mean, we didn't think of that. So in hindsight, yeah, could we have done better, like by doing that? Yes, but we didn't. Alderwoman Clee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to kind of reiterate to what my colleagues said. I think everybody in the city does a good job, and I appreciate the fact that the willingness for Ms. Hannum and everybody to come, including yourself, Mr. Mayor, and speak to this, accept any kind of criticisms or anything such as that nature. I think it's good. We take it as a lesson learned. I don't think anybody should be pistol whipped or anything to that nature. I think everybody is trying to do the best job possible, and I heard the stroll was pretty good. I didn't go this year. Just wasn't something in my that I was able to do, but I heard it was really good. And I think I did speak to Ms. Hannum about it, and the tree may be moved maybe to Renaissance Park rather than where it was. It might be the other way around, sorry. So that more people can see and get a better view of it. That was probably the only complaint I'd heard. Otherwise, all the activities and so on, there were so many lines that people couldn't get to all of them, but it sounded like it was a great night. Cold, but a great night. Thank you for everybody's hard work, including the organization formerly known as GAT. And our Downtown Improvement Committee. I know they all worked really hard on it, so thank you.
All right, any other general discussion? What's next?
Public comment.
Public comment. Any member of the public wish to address the committee? Oh, my God, really? No, come on, I'm just kidding you. I don't have to. Come on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tim Cummings, Director of Administrative Services. I was coming up this evening because there was a point that I thought should be explicit and at least added to the record relative to an expenditure that occurred earlier this evening. Earlier, you approved a contract for $200,000 for the testing for the firefighters. And although that is a large amount of money, I want to put it in a little context, and that's relative to the amount of money we spend when we're providing health insurance for a cancer. And the whole point of this type of contract is to, if God forbid, one of our employees does develop cancer, we're catching it early in a stage 1, as opposed to a stage 3 or a stage 4. Those dollars are astronomically higher as a stage 3, stage 4. You know, I don't want to put any numbers to it now. I certainly can. But the point that I'm trying to make is this is actually a cost-saving measure for the city. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
All right, remarks by Alderman. Alderwoman Clee.
I have to add to what Director Cummings just said. It's a cost savings to the city, but it's also a cost saving to someone's life. And that, to me, means more than any of those dollars that we're spending. If we can catch somebody's cancer at stage 1 versus stage 3, I think it's something we owe these men and women that have been working so hard for the city and putting their lives on the line. So I think it's money well worth spent.
Alderman Govea.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If anybody wants information on cancer screenings for firefighters, I have binders full of it. You're more than welcome to use it. Thanks.
Alderwoman Gregg.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a minute to talk about our first responders in the last couple days. Between DPW and our firefighters, we've really seen, how well covered our city is with these first responders and the heart and the effort that they put into it. So I just wanted to take this time on public record to thank them for their hard work.
It was an incredible fire.
Yeah.
Everyone was out there, including the chief, with his gear on, which I had not seen before. This was a big, big fire. And we had communities, fire units from all over the area, Hudson, Manchester,
In Massachusetts.
Tingsboro,
Yeah.
Lowell, Hudson, Hollis, Merrimack, just all over the place. All right, any other aldermanic remark, or any other remarks by aldermen? If not, Alderwoman Clee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, and the meeting is adjourned at 8 p.m.